What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Dungeon coming at you with another Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark tips and tactics video. And in this one, I'm going to be giving you guys an in-depth look at the Templar class. So, if you like to punish the wicked with holy vengeance, or if you're into Masonic treasures sealed by America's forefathers, you've come to the right place. Let's get into it. Alright, so we're talking about the Templar, so I wanted to show you guys a few of their abilities before we get to the details. The first one I want to show you guys, the Emboldening Chant. This one is an AoE cross-pattern buff centered on your Templar that adds attack bonus, gives attack bonus buff. The next one I want to show you guys is the Holy Chant, which is an AoE damaging spell that is also centered on your Templar, and it even affects diagonal units. Very nice. The next one I want to show you guys is a healing spell. This one is Soothing Chant. Again, it's centered on your Templar, but it's in a cross pattern, so it does have AoE effect, and so, which is awesome actually. And the last one that I want to show you guys is the Righteous Blade, and this one is a single target finisher spell that does a whole lot of holy damage. So all this combined and much more, let's go ahead and get into the details of the Templar. So the first one I want to talk about is Holy Chant. You saw it in the opening bit, and it is a square pattern AoE focused on your Templar that does damage to enemies figured by your attack and your mind statistics. It does do holy damage, and it does have scaling of 0.75, but otherwise it's really cool, especially early on. The next one I want to talk about is Soothing Chant. This is a healing spell, which by the way is super cool that this class has healing ability, but it also scales by attack and mind, and it uses a cross pattern centered on the Templar as well. The next one I want to talk about is Cleansing Blade. This one's actually really cool because it'll remove all buffs from the enemy, and the more buffs that it has, the enemy has, the more damage it'll do. And it's a single target. It focuses off, scales off of attack, and like I said, single target, and it's actually really cool. Can be very useful. The next one is Siphon. This one is also single target, but it has a really nice 2-square reach, which is super cool for, like, you know, swords and stuff like that. It focuses off, scales off of attack and mind, and the best thing about it is that you steal magic points from your enemy foe. The next one is Emboldening Chant. You saw this. It gives your allies a attack buff to those within the square pattern right next to your Templar. Super good in the beginning of a battle when you really can't get into melee range with your enemies. The finisher for this class is Righteous Blade. I really like this one because it is such high damage, 2.8 times holy damage, scaling off of attack statistic. Really the only downside is that it's 24 magic points to initiate, and you know, it's not a downside necessarily that it's single target. I mean, it's a finisher spell, but, or a finisher skill, but you know, it's still only single target, but still tons of damage. Late game does really good job. Back to the top of the tree, you've got Resilience, which will basically make debuff last for 1 round less. If you're getting a lot of debuffs on you for certain battles, can be really nice. Defensive Expert, similar to Attack Expert, except for focus on defense. I would say both of these two passives can be cool, but in general, you're probably not going to be using them a whole lot. When you're the Templar, they're nice to have. Evade Attack, on the other hand, it is defensive as a reactionary because you basically, if you're attacked with a regular attack, it just misses. It just automatically misses, and that could be really cool. Except for the fact that you know, if it's a skill or a spell, it just doesn't have an effect at all. So certain battles, it can be really nice though. Rapturing Chant is somewhat dicey because if you accidentally press on it, you die, because it's a self-sacrificing ability. And when you use it, it's like a Hail Mary type of thing. If everyone in your party's dying and they got all these debuffs and stuff, you use it, you kill yourself, and then everyone in your party gets benefit from it. But otherwise, you usually probably don't want to use it. I don't even pick it up until that's like the last ability in the tree that I'll pick up, to minimize the chance that I could accidentally press on it, because the consequences for using it are really dire, and it could potentially mess up your entire game, or your entire battle. So be very careful when using it, but if used in the right scenario, it could be good. I don't think I've really ever used it before, had to use it before, but that pretty well wraps that up. Let's go ahead and move on to the leveling. So the leveling for this one really isn't the best. It's not terrible, but I mean, you get decent defenses. Like your defense and your resistance statistics do go up pretty decently. Your attack goes up alright. Your hit points go up okay. But you know, I wouldn't say it's like awesome or anything like that. You do get to use the scythe, which is a really nice weapon. It does tons of damage. And you only need to rank up your knight class by 4 levels in order to initiate this one. So all in all, I'd say this is a pretty good class to play. Certainly early game, it's actually pretty good, and I would say that it's actually really fun too. So that pretty well wraps up the Templar class. Alright you guys, that concludes this episode of Fell Seal Arbiter's Mark Tips and Tactics video, where I gave you an in-depth look at the Templar class. If you had fun, if you learned something, if you enjoy watching this, hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon so you don't miss another video, and as always, thanks, stay cool, and bye everyone.